Hello and welcome to the very next, very exciting stat rep featuring some hotly requested armies. My name is Tyler Bortell, and I'm here to bring you a rapid-fire Warhammer 40k battle report featuring the Tyranids versus the World Eaters, and not just any Tyranids and not just any World Eaters. It is swarm on swarm violence, Horde versus Horde, evil versus more evil, but also red. It's going to be a really great time. You're not going to miss it. I am joined today, as always, by my co-host.
It's your boy Lucas.
And Lucas, what are you bringing today to the fight?
Oh man, I'm bringing the World Eaters the way Khorne intended, baby. Let's go. I'm so excited that this army is back, and I'm really excited to show it off this game and deep dive some thoughts on the archetype.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, mission-wise today, we are playing Mission A, first one off the list. That is Tipping Point Taken Hold. And we're playing on GW Layout 1. So just like straight across the top in terms of mission to try to be pretty default, as we have got a pretty dynamic interaction here between our armies. In the blue corner or red corner, I don't know what color it is, but over on my side, on the left-hand side of your screen here, we have got the Tyranids. Now, I am running this list written by Eric Lathuris, who brought a Challenger's Cup, and it is a Termagant Horde. My gosh, do I love a gaunt carpet. We've got not one, not two, not three, but four full 20-man squads of Termagants with those Spine Fists and Stranglewebs. We've also got three squads of 10 and another squad of 20 Hormagaunts. So 80 Termagants, 50 Hormagaunts, and then a smattering of support pieces. Monsters-wise, we've got a Tervigon and two Maleceptors and a Neurotyrant. And then for supporting infantry, we've got a squad of Venomthropes to hand out some cover and stealth. As well as a Biovore, because you got to have one of those, and our Lictor collection, which is going to be one regular, one Deathleaper, and two Neurolictors, for four little boys out and about as in total. And that's it. That is it. It is quite a lot on the table, but it is quite short on paper. So I'm really excited to see what we can do it for you. This is my first ever game with this particular list. I've played a lot of different gaunt carpets in the past, including a whole lot of Unending Swarm for those of you who were around back in the heyday of that. So I'm excited to see what Invasion Fleet, which is the detachment here, by the way, what Invasion Fleet can do with some of its tools. So really excited about that. How about you, Lucas? What kind of a horde have you brought today?
Yeah, we're playing World Eaters, man. Berzerker Warband, the classic detachment, with some very new tools. Recently, the advent of 20-man Berzerkers on the meta is on the rise, and this is easily my favorite unit in World Eaters. I think it's so cool. Transitioning from 5 and 10-man squads to 20s was just so freaking sick, and it really leans into just like the ravening horde of lunatics that I think World Eaters kind of epitomizes. Screw the stupid 8-bound stuff. I want angry, roided up basic Space Marine tactical Marines with chainswords. Let's go. So yeah, Berzerker Warband. I've got the core of the list being 50 Khorne Berzerkers, 2 squads of 20 led by Juggerlords, 1 squad of 10 led by Kharn. One of my Juggerlords has favored of Khorne to allow him to reroll 2 blood dice. That's the core. I've also got 10 Jakhals supporting to screen and provide some little bit of skirmishing. Also for screening and scoring, we've got 2 spawn, and then we've kind of got a possessed contingent as well, providing elite support rather than being the core of the list. It's 2 squads of 3 Exalted with their newfound glow up, going to 3 damage against vehicles and monsters is really excellent. And then I've also got 2 Slaughterbounds in this list. One of them has the Berzerker Glaive to go up to base damage 3, damage 4 into vehicles and monsters when he's joined, which is just absolutely hellacial. He's going to be joined to 3 Exalted this game. They're right at the kind of forefront of my DZ right now. And then I've got another Slaughterbound. He sometimes joins to the 3 Exalted. Other times he just exists on foot and is another unit. You can kind of think of him like discount spawn. He's a little slower and he's a little less tanky, but he hits harder. And he's a little more compact. So it's like a ghetto unit of spawn. And I really like him for that. And then I've got 3 Exalted as well.
Is he OC 1 or 2, Lucas?
He's OC 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another downside. But yeah, you can think of him very similarly. He's like a different kind of skirmishing unit, right? You got your spawn, you got your Jakhals, and you got your Slaughterbound, and they each kind of do slightly different things. So yeah, 2 Slaughterbounds, 1 with the Glaive, and then 2 by 3 Exalted. This game, 1 squad will be joined with Slaughterbound, and 1 squad will be on foot. So yeah, pretty straightforward list, just leaning into the two best data sheets and world leaders being Berzerkers and Exalted Eightbound, and some flavor to taste. Yeah, I love this list. I'm super excited to play a game with it for you guys.
Very cool, man. Let's get right into it. Anything crazy in terms of your deployment over here, Lucas? I see you've certainly got a bunch of red on the table. What's kind of your thought process here?
Yeah, I'm mostly lined up on the line, but I want to be cognizant this game of the fact that your damage is sneaky. I know Invasion Fleet is kind of in a very underhanded way one of the more high damage Tyranid detachments. Like, you have ready access to critical fives, you're gonna have sustain against my army. I don't want to randomly get pot shotted by, a Maleceptor gutting a Berzerker squad, or some Termagants running forward and killing 7 Berzerkers or something like that randomly. So I'm deployed on the line cautiously, with the ability to run forward on turn 1 if I go first, but not just like in a straight line directly at you. Basic ideas: I've got 2 units of skirmishing boys, so my Exalted and my Spawn down in the lower right-hand corner as I try to remember where the annotation tool is. So they're just going to try to control my expansion objective. There is like a nice little lip where they can't get shot down that angle, and you don't really have a Maleceptor over there anyway. So they'll hopefully be able to control that objective a little bit. And then our 20-man squads, one of them is going to control your expansion and the middle, and the other one is going to control the middle and my expansion. And in that way, I'm going to hope to keep you off of 15s the entire game, just because I have enough OC to bully you off of that middle, with tools like A, hitting you in the face, and B, 6-inch POW console to really just boot you off. That's the idea. Primary will be a little bit hard to come by myself, so I'm going to have to get aggressive and actually attack yours if I want to try to do well this game. How about you? Deployment thoughts?
Very cool. Yeah. I am a little bit terrified here, right? You have tons of volume and tons of mobility, right? These Berserker squads can go 16 and charge if they're feeling particularly spicy. And with the 6-inch pile console, making a charge means getting to all sorts of scary places. So this is probably the most conservative you will ever see me deploying all of my Lictors, Neurolictors, Infiltrators. I've got Deathy all the way back here in my DZ. I've got a Neurolictor by him, another Neurolictor down here, and my only one out of the DZ is my regular Lictor over here, who's in position to be able to walk onto this point over here for maybe a secondary or to deny some primary. Because I am so scared if I start, Deathy up here, something of move 16, charge wide, pile console 6. Very scary. So we're going to be real defensive there. We are going to sort of acknowledge that we're never going to be trying to hold your expansion. So we're going to be using one of our Maleceptors for the middle and one for the expansion here. That 6-inch aura of -1 to hit in melee is kind of their saving grace in this matchup. That's going to make the math a little bit wonkier, hoping that we can ship down some of those Zerker squads early on so that they don't do quite as much damage. Otherwise, my Flyrant is over here. He's just kind of upside down. Oh, I don't think I mentioned him because he was upside down. I couldn't see him. There's a Flyrant in this list with perfectly adapted. Also a really good tool here to hand out that -1 attack and really take a bite out of the world leader damage. The idea is eventually to have of both of my Neurolictors kind of in this sort of region, so we can bully these objectives with battle shocks as well as with bodies, and just sort of see how long we can hold on while the waves of Zerkers crash into us. So the only other thing I think is really worth mentioning is the Hormagaunt blob. I've got a 10-man off the table and then 1 10-man on either flank here. I put the 20-man all the way back here, and it's really tempting with a unit of 20 dudes that moves pretty fast to try to put them on the line and yeet them out going first, to try to get a big move block off. But I just don't see that as being realistic here because the heroic is so scary with the 6-inch pile console. I would rather just hold them back because they're actually one of my best anti-Zerker tools to put that big volume of 4-1-1 with sustain 5s probably. So we're going to hold them back and use them as a damage piece instead of as a screening piece. Not usually my instinct, but that's kind of what we're going to try for this time and see how it goes. Cool. And let's get started. I would love to go first here to get the ball rolling a little bit. And
I think we're both looking this. This is not going to be a coy game. Like starting turn 2, we're going to be slamming into each other. So I am also hoping to go first. Yeah.
Yeah. And we roll off, and sure enough, damn it. It is a World Eater's turn one. Whew. Coming at some big man. Fortunately, if I'm able to hold on to the end, I'll get some bottom game primary, but I'm a little bit sketched out.
Yeah, well, we'll have to ramp up the aggression to try to completely mitigate that. We'll see how it goes. Turn one, roll up my blood dice. We're going to grab sustained. That's going to be true the whole game. Every single turn I will have sustained. And then also we get reroll charges just in case I want to try to bomb some charges. For cards on turn one, I draw Cleanse and Establish Locus. Cleanse here, pretty nice and easy. Obviously, our spawn I've scouted up with their movement of 10. They're pretty easily able to access lots of different objectives. I'm going to hop onto your expansion here and just try to force you to start sending units out right away. And they'll do a cleanse there. And then the 2 spawn will go to my expansion and spawn on the lower right, that is, and cleanse that one. My idea was to put a Slaughterbound on it because with -1 damage, he can definitely survive a Lictor very easily and then smash that guy in the face. But he's OC1. So I really didn't want to give you that opportunity to get into the Slaughterbound. I'd rather just put 2 OC on the objective with the 2 spawn and make sure the Lictor can't contest. It's going to require your Hormagaunts to go hit a decent advance to get onto that objective. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty basic world leader stuff. Roll your advances, hope for high numbers, run forward screaming, try not to stand in the open type of shit. I do have an interesting decision here to not deploy a homer. I do make an interesting decision, rather, to not deploy a homer. So I need to stop referring it to as a homer. I do not establish a locus in the middle with my Exalted. Instead, I decide to turn that into a CP. I'm still not 100% sure if that's right. There is kind of a points pressure this game, to be honest. You're going second. If you can survive, you'll have the primary advantage. I don't have amazing primary control myself. With the Zerkers are on the objective, they'll control it, but then they're getting shot and charged. And when the Zerkers aren't on the objective, my army is pretty low OC. So it should be fairly trivial for you to deny a lot of my objectives over the course of the game. And so scoring every point I can is going to be important. In this case, I decide to ditch it for a CP. I think that's a fairly safe, tried and true World Leaders game plan. Get your 5 points on turn one in a CP is pretty good. So I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but it might have been nice to score 2 extra points here. We'll see how important my CP end up being over the course of the game. Yeah, pretty easy stuff. I'm also moving my Jakhals up. It's worth mentioning that Tyler doesn't have any deep strikers. He's just got 10 Hormagaunts in strat reserve to keep me honest. I'm not going to devote resources to my backfield to screen him out. That is kind of foolish. I want to go control the midfields. At some point in the game, he'll undoubtedly ingress them behind me and flip my home field, and I just have to hope that I can kill them with 1 activation at that point, and there's not like a prolonged fight back there. The Jakhals are going to run forward just to be kind of a trading resource here in a little bit. Yeah, that's it. I got my 5, got my CP, pass it on over to Big T. What are we doing turn 1?
Very nice. I do also want to commend you, by the way. Your maneuvering of that squad up at the top there is pretty top notch. I didn't think you'd be able to stage that effectively while avoiding both Maleceptors, but sure enough, they are really bearing down toward that expansion objective of mine. And with a 6-inch PAL console, that's going to be a problem. And they're doing that without really committed. They're doing it while being in complete safety. So really good positioning there. Worth taking the time to make that happen.
100%. I like I mentioned in the pregame, I want this unit to be able to threaten your expansion and the middle, and they can only do that if they kind of cheat up here by this 4x6. Otherwise, they're kind of just completely shut out of luck. They're only going to be going one direction. They're pretty far back in my DZ. So I'm at a little bit of risk of taking some fire here, but overall, it's going to get me a much better position. And with tools like Movement 10, Advance and Charge, 6-inch PAL console, and 3-inch engagement range, it's very easy to slingshot a strung out squad of Zerkers into combat.
Totally. Very nice. All right, so bottom of one here, we've got the Tyranids turn. We're drawing Storm, Hostile, and Cleanse. Because, as you can see, I'm going to be taking my expansion off you. No reason to cycle Storm, Hostile. I consider cleanse here for a hot minute in a couple of different ways. I double check that my Lictor can move on to this objective to cleanse if we want to. He's not going to end up moving that way, but I just forgot to pull him back after the pre-measure. We're going to check if the Hormagaunts can advance far enough to get onto this point, as there is no way we can charge anything in this vicinity. And if they can't, we're just not going to bother with the cleanse. Turns out that we can't. I think he moves backwards. But what's going on, I think, much more interestingly, is what's happening up at the top here. Right, these two spawn are very annoying to get to because Lucas has hidden them pretty effectively without any access to assault because they don't have a foot tyrant. My Maleceptor is never getting up high enough to see them, so instead he's basically just going to advance up here and go stand in the middle. And we're going to try to take them down actually with Termagant damage. You would be very surprised just how much damage these little spine fists are able to get done. They're unfortunately not sustained versus the spawn because they are beasts, not infantry or swarm, but they are still lethal from the Tervigon, and they are still twin linked from their datasheet rule. So they're able to do a surprising amount of damage into something with a pretty low save like spawn here. So we'll have all of these guys who are on here from orange squad shooting in, and then all of these guys from purple shooting in that way. And our goal, we may even not end up shooting everyone because our goal is not to kill the spawn. Our goal is to almost kill the spawn by as small a margin as possible. And if you want to get really frisky with it, you can slow roll your spine fists and then use the twin link to your advantage one way or the other. But the reason for that is that Invasion Fleet gives us, frankly, a much better stratagem suite than Unending Swarm ever did for hordes of units, because in addition to getting our D3+3 models back, which is great, and our crit 5s, which is great, it also gives us access to Overrun, which is probably the best stratagem in the Tyranids book. Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that. Now that they nerfed the Vanguard stratagem. So what that means is that after I fight, I can 1 CP Console 6, or if I'm not within engagement range and I have Synapse, which these Hormagaunts will from the Neuroloid over here, I can normal move flat 6 inches. Man, that is so powerful. And we're going to use that to great effect here to allow us to build a screen much further out than we would be able to do otherwise, and without being at risk of getting heroically intervened into, right? When these Hormagaunts charge into whatever's left of the spawn over here, they're going to be in a good position then to normal move 6 this way and block off this Zerker unit from getting onto my expansion as much as possible. And that's going to just pretty fundamentally change how Lucas gets to interact with my expansion objective here. So we've got 10 Gaunts worth of OC on it already. It's going to be pretty tricky for him to get much more than that without just full committing this other Zerker squad with Pile Console 6, which would then, die. In the middle here, we're going to send out this orange squad in this big kind of a loop situation. A big part of our goal, of course, is just to contain this whole squad of Zerkers and whatnot, but also to put some pressure on so he does have to come out and deal with me in some capacity, right? I've got lots of damage all lined up right in here to go deal with the Zerk squad that comes to kill him. If it's a 10-man squad, he might not be able to. They are all wholly within 6 of my Maleceptor, so the -1 to hit will make that pretty tricky. If it's a 20-man squad, we'll hopefully be able to put a bunch of hurt back on him. So we'll see about that. I do end up deciding to advance the Lictor out because my Hormagaunts were unable to advance far enough over there. He's going to run over here while the Gaunts run over here, and we're going to leave a sub 2 plus 32 mil gap in between them so we can't fit there. And then we're going to drop our score mine over here such that no one can pop it by moving to it, but it will block any advances to keep Lucas from having any funny ideas about this squad of Zerks hopping out and running this way and charging into my home field and being a massive problem. So that's what we're going to do with our Spore Mine, and they're really important stuff, Spore Mines, for this army. But other than that, screening in our backfield, our Venomthropes are just going to get out into the middle here, and everything goes basically according to plan. Killing the spawn is a little bit sketchy because we don't have the sustained on the Hormagaunts there, but we do get over the hump. We get it done, and you can see we are doing that normal move of 6 here. There is a little bit of a gap over here that Lucas could try to come up here and thread potentially, but he's not getting much further than this, and that'll trigger my reactive move with the Gaunts anyway, so I'm not super worried about that. It's also just like a pretty big distance for him to go. That's all we're doing on bottom of 1. We'll grab a 4 on Storm, and we will 4 on Storm, and we will ditch cleanse. All right, Lucas, what are we doing at top of 2 for the world leaders?
Yeah, so what I've done here is kind of pre-measure slash moved a couple models here, just because I want to see what's possible before I commit to it. What I'm debating here is I get my sustained, obviously, like I said, I'm going to have that every turn of the game. And then what I'm thinking about is whether or not I want to take reroll charges, or if I want to take fight on death, or if I want to take 6-inch power console. 6-inch power console, it's not going to be overly helpful for reaching, say, the purple Termagants that are on your expansion objective. And with the 10 OC that's on that objective right now, it might be a little bit tricky for me to flip that. So that one might be a bit of a lost cause. But with 6-inch power console, we might be able to reach some other units, namely potentially this Hive Tyrant. Let me switch back to the arrow. So this Hive Tyrant this way, or more importantly, the Maleceptor here. And there's kind of an interesting interplay here because your Maleceptor obviously is a 6-inch aura of -1 to hit. That's shooting in combat. So the idea being when the Zerkers come in to hit the Termagants, you kind of have some sneaky defense, right? You're -1 to hit. So all of my guys that are just like hitting on 3s are now hitting on 4s. I have no rerolls in a 20-man. And then you can like maybe reactive move to keep a couple models from fighting. I kind of am obligated to use +1. Well, I thought I was obligated to use +1 AP to give you no save against all the chain blades, and then you could hypothetically pop Feel No Pain to really save you against the 1 damage there. So
Not to mention the -1 attack from the Hive Tyrant.
Exactly, yeah. So there's like a bunch of stacking defense that makes the kill, I'm not going to say that 20 Zerkers won't kill 20 Termagants if all of the tools are invested, but it makes it a little bit sketchier, right? Like you have to get through a hitting on 4 step with no rerolls. It's iffy. So with that in mind, you've very smartly positioned your Maleceptor to be like wholly within 6 of these front Termagants, right, not straight line. Right here. Right, so all along that line, you have your Maleceptor wholly within 6, so that when I charge you, I have to come base you, and I'll be by definition within 6. I'm going to try to use this to my advantage here by saying, okay, if you're wholly within 6, then my Exalted Eightbound can move forward to kind of block your reactive move. You can't get within 1 inch of me. So you're functionally either staying where you are or moving backward. And then I'm going to charge in and base this front rank with all of the Exalted, model here, model here, model here, model here. And then after the Zerkers hypothetically kill you, I'm going to 6-inch pile console in, or 6-inch pile in, get the Maleceptor, and do what damage we can. So that's the play I'm going to go for here. It's pretty straightforward, 6-inch power console stuff, but just kind of wanted to lay that all out. That's the play I'm going to go for. So what I've done here is pre-measured and make sure that I can do that blocking thing that I want to do, because if this 8-bound doesn't kick all the way out to this position, all of a sudden you could like sneak around and force me to do annoying basing stuff, and then the whole play goes to hell. So we end up going for it here. We're going to do sustained and 6-inch power console. Our draws this turn are pretty conducive to the game plan we want to do. No prisoners in extended battle lines. I could turn my brain off and score these cards. And I mean, I'm playing World Leader, so my brain's already off. But there we go. So we already know our plan here. Zerkers are moving up. We're choosing not to advance them, A, to preserve a CP, and B, to shoot our bolt pistols. We're going to try to cobble together a kill on these Hormagaunts. Berzerkers are kind of bad at shooting. They hit on 4s, but the Hormagaunts are Hormagaunts. So it shouldn't be too difficult for me to kill 10 of those guys. If you want to invest in defense, that's fine. I am going to throw my Jakhals out at you here, and they're going to finish off whatever remnants are left after I shoot a bunch of plasma and bolt at you. We're also exposing a little bit down here on the bottom side, just to throw a grenade at the Lictor. Lictors are kind of annoying because they pose a fight first threat against my Juggerlords, which hypothetically could do a lot of damage or even kill one. So what I'm going to do here is throw the spawn into them. The Lictor's a decent chance of killing one. But if Lictor's already wounded from a grenade, then the remaining 1 spawn could finish him off. And if there happens to be 2 spawn after the fight first, then the Lictor's dead. Yeah, so that's the idea here. Just, remove the stuff you've put in front of me. If I get lucky, I'll get my Glaive and Exalted squad into that Maleceptor, and then we'll roll some 4s at each other. I'll roll some 4s to hit, you roll some 4 at Binvolds. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, just kind of running forward screaming, as is the World Leader way. We've got our naked Slaughterbound down here on the expansion, and this is going to be his home this game. And this is why I love that Slaughterbound so much. He's great for, once the rest of your guys are running in, stuck in combat, wanting to apply pressure, he can just kind of sit there and chill for a little while. He can do your sabotage, he can do your cleanse, he can provide a nice, threat of, he doesn't die automatically to like 5 JPI or something like that. It's sketchy. He doesn't die automatically to 5 Vanguard veterans. He's just a little bit resilient. And in addition, he also hits like a fucking freight train. So he can win those skirmishing fights. And if he has to spend a little bit of time guarding an objective or doing an action, I'm not too mad about it. The other Berzerker squad, the squad that's on my home field right now, we're just stringing out so that we don't get Termagant pot-shotted. But other than that, we're just kind of holding the same position. So here we go, rattling in some shots. We do 2 mortal wounds with our grenade to that Lictor right in front of the spawn. And I think our pistols kill 3 or 4 Hormagaunts here. And we're going to shoot a couple more shots, and I think we're going to kill 1 or 2 more. And one thing I noticed here, which is pretty interesting, is our Jakhals, if I'd been a little more smart with their position, could hypothetically get a charge in such that a 6-inch consolidate could take them onto the objective. And it would require all 10 models to end on the objective, because you do have 10 OC there. But there is a world in which I could consolidate on and get 10 OC, pass the Neurolictor battle shock test, and then steal your primary. So that's just something to look out for in my future World Leader games. Is 6-inch power console is a tool that, is obviously has a lot of surface level power, but also is a little bit sneaky in the way that you can take up space and zoom up the board with it. Not just to engage enemy units, but also to end on objectives here. We're going to see after these Jakhals finish off the Hormagaunts just how much distance they can get forward onto that objective. It's really it's gonna buy me some space, which is great. Yep, and then straightforward stuff here, like I mentioned before we rolled the tape. The Exalted are going to come in and base Orange Squad. You did roll a 1 on your reactive move. Very importantly, this lets you close up this little hole that was right here, so my Berzerkers couldn't charge past that, just to buy you a little more space. And yeah, here they come. One important part of this plan that I did not mention originally is the importance of the Juggerlord's 3-inch engagement range rule. So the Juggerlord has a rule. I forget if it's all wrapped up in one rule, but he sets the unit's move characteristic to 10. And then he also says while his Berzerker unit is in engagement range of an enemy unit, models in your unit can treat their engagement range as 3 inches against that unit. So luckily the Berzerkers rolled a really big charge here, but even if they didn't, most of them would still be able to fight. If they just had their normal engagement range, everything in this absolute mess in the middle here would kind of just be horrific, right? Because I have a bunch of big base 8-bound guys that are basing all of your Termagants in the middle. So none of my Berzerkers would be able to make base contact. And even if they did, there wouldn't be a lot of room for the second rank to get in as well. And as I mentioned, I kind of need most, if not all of my models to fight in order to kill 20 Termagants, if you're willing to invest the defense. So that 3-inch engagement range here is actually going to be really crucial, because it's going to mean that those 6 or 7 guys, including the 4 battle axes that are right behind the Slaughterbound, in kind of right on the center objective there, are all going to be able to swing into the Termagants. So that's going to be great. Instead of swinging with 8 models here, I'm swinging with the entire squad. And we're going to see the results of that here. I do invest +1 AP just because I want to be sure of this plan happening, right? If I leave 2 Termagants alive, my entire Exalted 8-bound squad is wasted. And it's not even close. I don't even swing any of the 2 damage, and I think I killed 36 Termagants. So yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. I should have done the mental math on that, but beforehand, I thought the 5 of Feel the Pain was going to be cause me more of a headache. But what is it? 80 minus 16, 64 attacks is a hell of a drug, especially when they're winning on 2s and giving you no save. So the Zerkers just buzzed all through that squad, which, oh man, I love seeing Khorne Berzerkers do their thing. And then they're going to get their 6-inch consolidate in here. They're able to make it into combat with the Lictor who's already fought. So everyone's just kind of pressing forward here, taking up a bunch of space. I'm trying to body block the middle objective. This is something that seasoned World Leader players will recognize, is after you've killed the enemy unit, consolidate such that the enemy cannot end any kind of normal or advance on the objective you're trying to guard. That way you can use your tools like Sticky on Death, Fight on Death, just generally trying to end up in combat with your opponent rather than letting them shoot you and exist on the objective. I'm body blocking it here so you can't get onto the middle. It's going to require you to throw a melee unit forward in order to take that from me.
Very nice. I think that I make a mistake here in my investment of resources. I similarly had not done quite enough math on Khorne Berzerkers activating into Termagants, and with the reverence that you were putting on this unit here, I decided to throw the -1 attack at the Zerks, pop the Feel No Pain on the Termagants, and hope for the best because, like you said, if 1 or 2 Termagants lives, it's a huge upswing. In hindsight, I almost certainly should have just put the -1 attack on the Exalted and then save the Feel No Pain for the Maleceptor and just accepted that was going to happen.
100%.
And then maybe this blue squad also isn't tagged. Very, very big difference if that Maleceptor is still alive right now. So,
good. Yeah, admittedly, I rolled pretty poorly on the Exalted, but like, I can't really complain about that because you're making me hit on 4s and you have a 4-up Binble. So, like, really, you could take 30 damage, you could take 8 damage, you could take 2 damage, you could take 18 damage. Like, who the fuck knows what's going to happen with that activation, right? Like, I'm swinging big boy attacks at you, and they have to go through a bunch of, like, sketchy gateways. But I agree that investing the defense to try to make that happen, especially because it was a free strat for you ultimately. Or no, I think you overwatched for free. Either way, like, 1 CP is a small price to pay for maybe a Maleceptor living. So, yeah, I agree with that. But regardless, here we are. We've killed the Maleceptor and engaged Blue Squad. One of the weaknesses of Tyranids classically is they don't really get to fall back and do shit. So there we are. We're just kind of taking up some space, and we're going to send it over and see what the Swarm can do about this pressure. Oh, one more thing before I pass it over. Those Jakhals, see all that space they take up? Like, you're not really pushing very far forward at all. And if you do, it's probably going to require some kind of charge on the Jakhals. We're going to see how it goes.
Yeah, very nice. Alrighty. Kicking it over to bottom of Nid's turn 2. Those Jakhals do get Battle Shock. Thank you, Neurolictor. But the big squad in the middle, the one that I really would have liked to have failed their Battle Shock, does not. So that's going to be a little bit sketchy, as that Blood Surge is a massive problem. I have a Spore Mine that can try to mitigate things a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's a 20-man squad of Zerks and the characters in the back. You can really only control so much. So you have to either just be willing to sacrifice something pretty substantial, like a Termagant squad or something, to them, or on the other end of the spectrum, I can simply say, nope, we're just not going to shoot them at all. We're just going to charge them, and that's what I'm going to decide to do here. We're going to see just how much we can do between a Hive Tyrant charge and the big 20-man Hormagaunt charge to deal with that. On the other sides of things, up top here, as Lucas said, those Jakhals are going to be a massive pain in my tail, as I would love to be basically have purple squad out there body blocking, and then let green squad come on up and kind of take their place here along with the Maleceptor, actually on the objective itself. But with those Jakhals, it's going to be a little bit tricky. So we're going to try to kind of rinse and repeat from last round, except instead of Hormagaunts, I'm only going to get to punch you with Termagants. So admittedly, it's also just Jakhals, which are much easier to kill. But I really want to mitigate those Jakhals as much as possible with shooting, such that I can still charge in something that's whatever's left over here, and then overrun up here again. That's going to be kind of the idea. Simultaneously, we got to deal with this expansion over here, which is going to be a little bit tricky. We had absolutely no way of mitigating Lucas's turn 2 primary, so we let him have that 10. But this turn, I would really like to stop that, and that's going to look like these Hormagaunts over here, who now have a reasonable charge target in the spawn here. However, the Slaughterbound Heroic looms and the Berzerkers loom, so like that's going to be a massive pain in my tail. I bring the Spore Mine over to here to make sure that if I change my mind and decide to shoot, that there's no way the Jakhals can surge into the Gaunts. And if they have to surge into the Spore Mine, they will simply not be in combat and will be fine. But with the positioning here, it should be just surging into the Hormagaunts. So it doesn't really matter. This is kind of redundant because we're not going to shoot them because we need the Hormagaunts to strike first. But I digress. We're going to try over here to take this guy out and leave some OC on without losing the whole squad of Hormagaunts. We'll see about how to do that in a second. Purple squad up top there is it's not advancing, but is moving forward as predicted, as is the Maleceptor. Lucas does have the Slaughterbound and the 8 Exalted here that I can shoot at, one of which did end up stuck on this terrain feature. So we're going to be able to put our Maleceptor into that man, and then some Termagants shortly thereafter. While I can't fall back and shoot, my guns are all pistols with the Spine Pistols, but that's not really helpful if I want to shoot the unit with something else first. So Blue squad does fall back and hopefully not take too much damage here in the process. And we're just going to shoot at the Exalted and the Slaughterbound, hopefully make them go away. And my Hive Tyrant over here is going to solve this Zerker problem, right? He's going to come down here, charge in this way, and mitigate how many of them are able, hopefully none of them, to get into my Hormagaunts over here. And then also just be able to do some decent damage here, right? We can 2 CP crit 5s for both the Hive Tyrant and the Hormagaunts. Which should really open up the damage potential for them. My Venomthropes over here, who are pretty useful against this army because you don't have a whole lot of guns, they're going to go screen, make sure that Exalted squad in the sky isn't dropping on top of me. And that's basically it. We're going to hold the last 10-man Horms back to, like Lucas said, probably just go flip his home field later on. And the last interesting decision to make here is, what are we doing with the Spore Mine? Now, I probably should at some point make a video of some kind of masterclass, I think they call it these days, on Spore Mine placement, because my oh my, are there so many different things you can do with these beautiful, beautiful bastards. And the number one thing you want to look for, of course, is there a secondary I can score? In this case, there is not. Number 2 option is there an advance and do something, advance, shoot, advance, and charge that needs to be blocked? That's what we did first turn with our Spore Mine over here, blocking this advance. This turn, I don't really see that, right? Like, these Gaunts are going to end up vaguely over here. Lucas will have no problem getting them without an advance of any kind. And then, like, these guys, where are they going to go? Probably in here, maybe over here. Either way, there's Zerks up in my face. Putting a Spore Mine back here isn't going to help with that. So instead, we get to do one of my favorite Spore Mines. Well, the next one is, can you screen with it? And Lucas is going to have to... I've got my backfield screen just fine, so I don't need to do that. Which leaves one of my favorite Spore Mine placements, which is placing a Spore Mine with a long-term future plan in mind. And in particular, I think I just forget to put him down. We'll get him later. I'm going to drop that Spore Mine right over here, where he is never getting touched, and just wait for cards to get drawn, right? Engage behind, and he's fairly close to the middle, so potentially display. The display should be pretty easy. And just let me get points out of him later on cards that will draw in a future turn while preserving assets. So that's the last decision point there. And then we're charging in. We do manage to shoot down to a singular Jakhal who is within 12 inches of my Neurolictor. So my Gaunts here are going to be hitting on 4s, sustained, wounding on 3s because they're strength 4 from Synapse. +1 to wound for you being battle shocked. And you Jakhals have what, a 5-up save, a 6-up save?
6 up, baby.
Jakhals have a 6-up save. This thing should die. It is 1 man. I could not imagine a better setup for this. I roll my charge, and initially I roll a boxcars, which I'm pretty good at combat bullshit with the charge phase in 10th edition. There is no way to get around a boxcars here that involves me not getting heroic. So we tragically do have to CP reroll that, and we roll it into a 6, which is something that actually can be nonsensed around. Basically, there are 5 models here who could have possibly based while being in heroic range. So we take 3 of them and slam them in, such that they are not getting heroic into. And then we take the rest of the unit and we kind of part it. We send half of it this way, such that this gap here is over 2 inches, and the other half of it this way, such that this gap is over 2 inches. And as a result, my last 2 models that haven't moved yet have to move to plug those 2 gaps in order to maintain coherency. 10th edition charging is stupid, but that's how that works. If you want more in-depth stuff like that, you can come talk to us over in the Discord or check out stat-check.com/coaching for some more in-depth opportunities if you want some one-on-one time with one of us or any of the other wonderful coaches. Here's that Spore Mine I was talking about. He's dropping down over here. And here is those Hormagaunts charging in up here. And Lucas has an interesting decision here. You choose to heroic the Slaughterbound, basically out of concern that this Tyrant over here is going to mitigate too many of the Zerkers. I think that's a totally reasonable decision. And we'll see what we can do. Because you heroic, you only had 2 CP, you're no longer threatening an interrupt, which is great for me because it means that I can comfortably swing with my Hive Tyrant first. Because if the Hormagaunts swing first, you might be able to pull these and she might have trouble to get in, but the Hormagaunts obviously are going to have no problem getting in. And also, I think she'll kill fewer. For 6 attacks on 2s, rerolling one of them with sustained 5s, wounding on 2s, rerolling, giving you 5 up saves or death. I expected her to kill more than 2, but she killed 2. It's fine. And then the Hormagaunts swinging in with their crit 5s, 60 attacks on 4s, sus 5s, wounding on 4s, AP1, killed 7. That sounds about right to me. Right, that sounds kind of mathy. So good work from them. This is not going to be an easy endeavor. It's going to be a death by 1,000 cuts kind of situation. But hopefully, particularly because as you still wanted to keep some alive over here, we're going to have enough Hormagaunt just mass on the objective to prevent you from killing me off of it. Unfortunately, the Slaughterbound does still stay here and did have to be in combat for me to do the things I needed to do here. Kind of a bummer. Maybe I should have charged the Tervigon into him. Maybe. I don't know. You still had interrupt CP in the tank. I was kind of sketched out. I don't want to lose my Tervigon. But hopefully we're able to hang on here and take this objective away from you. You still got a decent amount of OC on that point, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, we swing in with our glorious Termagants. I think I got like 8 or 9 of them swinging. Again, 4 sustained, wounding on 3s. You have a 6-up save. And I think I get 4 hits and 0 wounds. Fuck! And I only have 1 CP left, so there's no point in rerolling because I won't be able to overrun even if I do. So we do have a wall, which is cool, right? It's going to keep the Berzerkers from charging into the juicy bits over here, but it's not going to keep him from Pal consoling into them, or if he's willing, if Lucas wants to commit the 10-man, he could possibly commit both squads here, wipe out purple, and then the Kharn squad Pal console 6 in, it does a bunch of damage. Like, there's just some scariness here that could really kind of, the wheels could start to come off if I'm not without me being able to do what I wanted to do. So I'm a little bit sketched out, but hopefully it's okay. I've still got a lot of resources in the tank, right? You look up and down the table, and Lucas is starting to get a little bit resource shy, right? I've killed like half of one squad of Zerks. So we still got another full one and a 10, but like all of the spawn are dead now. One of the Exalted squads is dead now. Like the unit count problem that World Leaders has is really one of the best pressure points to put on them, especially in these kind of lists. So we'll see what we can do about it.
Yeah, kill their spawn, kill their Jakhals, kill their Rhino if they got one. All really, like, you've killed my Jakhals and spawn. I'm about to charge my 20-man Berzerker into you. My home field is going to be literally empty. I will not have a model in my home field if I didn't move my Rhino backward. Yeah, that's definitely a pressure point you can use to attack World Leaders. And I think one thing that was really interesting here is the success of critical 5s, right? Like, you kind of, in this invasion fleet list has a bunch of really sneaky, 1-2 punches of, I go in with my Tyrant and 20 Hormagaunts, discount pop crit 5s. That does like kind of some really serious damage if you're not, especially if you're not, it's not just like annihilating a land raider or something like that, right? But it's like, you look at 20 Hormagaunts, you're like, that's a trash unit with a bunch of OC. Oh, it just killed like 8 Space Marines. And like, oh, that's a Hive Tyrant, it'll kill 2 guys. Oh no, and actually now it kills 4 or 5. It just starts adding up. And then also another thing that I had to play around this game, which we'll talk about a little more at the end, is the 1-2 punch of the guns. We're never going to see it this game, but I had to. The reason my Zerkers, you might just be thinking, Lucas, go hit your strength 6 guys and their T3 and just table them, charge them, like run out of the open. Who cares? If I run out into the open in front of Termagants, he's going to pop crit 5s. The first squad's going to gun down 6. I'll surge into the second squad, and then he'll gun down another 6, right? Because the guns are pistols.
For what it's worth, Lucas, I cannot pop crit 5s. That's a melee only stratagem.
It's not. It doesn't work in shooting?
No.
Oh, okay, good to know. Either way, like, you'll kill a decent number, and then the pistols will kill another decent number. And as we've established, my damage into you is sketchy if I'm missing out on +1 attack and +2 strength and +1 AP access, and then you still give me -1 to hit and -1 attack. That's the point in time where we end up in those grind fights, and we're going to see that over the course of the rest of this game. Is you actually, I mean, you don't win the grind fights, but you keep me in combat and prevent me from continuing to charge you. So we're blasting into my movement phase. Some green Berzerkers just appeared here. What did you score in your turn?
Yeah, totally. Let me pause the tape real quick. Yeah, so on
Yeah,
my
good
turn
call.
there, I don't even know if I mentioned my cards. They were overwhelming force and recover assets. Oh my god! So we recover assets with the Tervigon, who is narrowly inside our deployment zone, and the Neurolictor, who is narrowly outside of our deployment zone. And then we get one of our overwhelming forces for killing the Eightbound because their character was on the objective here. But we leave this spawn actually on one wound from the Hormagaunts, and we leave this Jackal alive, either one of which would have scored the other 2 points. So we miss out on that, which is a bummer, but we do get our overwhelming. We should mention, by the way, what kind of happened. We had a bit of we each kind of got a swing of luck here with the way these Hormagaunt melees worked out. I got at the upswing here that I think like this one Zerk got to swing in and killed a Termagant, and then the Slaughterbound swung in and killed 7, which killed exactly the 8 that were within 1 inch of the spawn, which meant that these 2 got to stay alive on the point and not in combat, which was
Yeah,
like very funny to work out.
specifically
Exactly.
because that spawn did not charge, right?
Yes.
The Slaughterbound got to charge. So
Yep.
the consideration there is, do I fight with my one spawn and hope to? I think the Slaughterbound had access to like 5 or 6 models. I was going to hope that my spawn didn't pop off and kill those guys so the Slaughterbound could fight, or do I just fight with my Slaughterbound first? And there's a decent odds that he kills the remaining 9 Hormagaunts just by himself. I think I should have just gone with the spawn, right? Like I'm not on the charge. I'm strength 5. I'm hitting on 4s. Like I think anywhere from 2 to 4 kills is completely realistic. Swinging up and getting 6 is pretty unlikely. Whereas the Slaughterbound getting the wrong number functionally is completely like the normal mathematical result. So I think I just needed to slow down there and like consider the math a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because he had to kill exactly 7 for it to be a problem. Like if he kills 6, it's no big deal. If he kills, I guess 7 or 8 would have also been a problem. He kills.
I think
yeah.
there was 9 left in the squad, and he should kill about 9. So if he's going to kill about 9, getting 7 or 8 instead is pretty realistic. Whereas the spawn is going to kill, like I said, 2 or 3. So swinging up and getting 6 is like, whoa, crazy.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So just a little bit of miscalculation.
So
but
that works out there. By contrast, in the center, we have the opposite end of the swing here, where Lucas does manage to kill, I think it's like exactly enough Hormagaunts over there as well, because you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 OC here. And I end up with 4 guys left. So you kill, but you do manage to kill enough Hormagaunts to push me off of holding that center. So I take your expansion, but you take back the middle, and it all comes out in the wash. So you still get yourself a 10. But yeah, sweet. Ready to move on to top 3?
Let's do it. Yeah. So at this point, we've gotten a couple kills with our icons. So we're going to cash in our bloodshed points and grab sustained and lethal. The idea with lethal here, obviously not super helpful in the swarms of Termagants for our Berzerkers, but we're going to send Kharn squad, who's been chilling in the Rhino for a couple turns. Their blood's pumping rather, and they're going to bullet over, advance and charge into that Tyrant. You might be saying, there's a Spore Mine right there. That's where our heroic spawn comes in handy. He runs over there. Does not run over there. He walks over there and pops the Spore Mine, allowing our Berzerkers to advance and charge into the Tyrant. So with sustained and lethal, we're going to hope that they can put that Tyrant down. You get a bit of a lucky overwatch here and kill 5 of them. I was hoping for a couple fewer, so that way, I could get more value out of the +1 AP strat, and the basic Zerkers could hand you a bunch of AP2s. No such luck. We've already lost, I think, I forget if it was 5 or 6 of the Berzerkers, but they've taken some big losses before they even make it into combat. Our red squad is at 11 models, so they don't need to test for morale. I'm certainly not going to fall back. Actually, there is an interesting argument here to just like falling back behind my staging L, which I didn't really consider. But I think with 10 inches of movement, they could very easily get behind that wall. And then this Slaughterbound could finish off the last 2 Hormagaunts and then just kind of like a reset. But I have a squad of Zerkers. That should have been something I considered, but I did not. We're going to stay in combat and polish off the Hormagaunts. And worst case scenario, at the end of the day, right, it's gonna mean we have some presence on these objectives, and it'll hopefully keep you away from my expansion for a little longer. Yep, and then obviously now it's time for the home field squad of Zerkers, Black Squad, to go do their bloody work. They're going to get in here. No reactive move from these purple Termagants because they're in combat with our fucking king, the Jackal. Yeah, so they're going to get in there and butcher those idiots. And then we are going to get a nice little consolidate 3 to tag the green Hormagaunts here. And at this point, we're going to have to eat some -1 battle shocks from Deathleaper and the Neurolictors. So we're just going to clench and hope that we can get lucky. But yeah, it's like, it's now or never, right? Because, there's nothing that a squad of Khorne Berzerkers wants to do more than just to plow into 20 idiots and then exist on their opponent's expansion. So there we are. Just doing some damage. In terms of cards here, we do Recover and Cull. So obviously we killed 2 20-mans here, so getting plenty of Cull. And then Recover as well. I have another chance to get a CP or to get 3 points. At this point, I think I kind of have not a glut of CP, but I've got more than I know what to spend with optimally. So I do decide to just get Recover here. That's going to be with the spawn who ran forward and popped the Spore Mine. And then my Rhino moving back out of my expansion as well. I do normal move onto the objective. There's a very real chance that Rhino is going to end up in combat at the end of my turn. So with how good World Leader Rhinos are in combat and shooting into combat and all that kind of stuff, I want to make sure that I'm already on the objective so that when the Hormagaunts come and attack me, I'm going to hopefully clear them out over the course of 2 fight phases and then exist on the objective for my subsequent primary scoring. And that you'll see that come into effect here in my following turn. Yeah, there we are. I think that's it. So we blended Purple Squad. We finished off the last of the 20-man Hormagaunts. And unfortunately, Kharn Squad, a bit of a whiff into the Tyrant. I think they put 4 damage onto him. Kind of the stacking of the -1. Again, like there's not even a Maleceptor over there, but hypothetically, they could be -1 to hit, and then -1 attack, and then 5 of Feel No Pain, and you have 1 reroll against Kharn himself. Mm-hmm. Just means it's not as good as I want it to be. I think I should have done more than 4 damage, but kind of an iffy kill on that big boy. And that's going to kind of set me behind here because I really wanted to hurt your CP eco here, and that's just not happening, unfortunately.
Yeah. My Tyrant continues to be a wet noodle himself as well, kills 2 Berzerkers in return. So we're just going to be chilling here. We've got a couple different options for how we're going to solve all of this problem. We'll consider a couple of them. But the green squad getting tagged there. This was like the real big bummer of not being able to overrun, was that was not a thing. I probably, in hindsight, should not have banked so much on the overrun and should have been really careful to pre-measure that this would not have been an option. I had the charge move to do it, and I just didn't move the models that were back there too much. But, living and learning. They'll do okay. They have OC there, and that's what matters more. First battle shock from the Neurolictor here is Boxcars and past cringe. Second battle shock, however, from the other Neurolictor is failed. Oh, we did it. We get to play Warhammer. Let's go. Battle shock squad of Zerkers means that Tyranids get to do damage this turn. Imagine if we had a squad of Gaunts that could shoot them. Tragically, we don't. But that's okay. God, it'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. Oh, man. The Hormagaunts? Oh, man. That's okay. We got plenty of damage lined up. We've got a Maleceptor who gets D6 plus 7 shots, because blast, baby. We've got Deathy. We've got Neurolictors. We've got a Neurotyrant over here, right? Because Lucas is Battle Shock, you cannot Blood Surge, so we're kind of free there. And then we're going to go deal with other stuff. Now, I check a whole bunch of different options for what this Hormagaunt squad is going to do. So either going to flash across the screen in a bunch of different places. Lucas was concerned about me full table zoning his ingress for his Exalted Eightbound that are just off screen here that he's trying to ingress with. I wasn't so sure about it, but I figured it was worth a check. It turns out to not be possible. So we end up deciding to just not bother with it. But there's a couple different options with that in mind. For a minute here, we consider the possibility of the Hive Tyrant falling back onto this objective, partially to facilitate that, partially to deny this primary. We end up deciding against that after rolling some dice. It just doesn't make sense. So she's just going to stay in combat, hold on to her butt, and hope that Kharn still can't kill her. Admittedly, Kharn is now -1 attack, -2 strength, so is much, much worse at killing a Hive Tyrant in particular. So nothing crazy here. The Hormagaunts are going to go take your home field. old. There's an interesting question about whether I should charge or just advance onto the point. I decide to charge because it means that when you will get to hit me in combat now, but it means when you shoot me next, you'll be -1 and you won't get the tank shock. And then you also won't get the bonus attack out of your charge bonus. Do you think that's the right call here, Lucas? I don't think it's that big of a deal one way or the other, but what is probably the right move here?
I think it's kind of 6-1, half dozen the other. It does remove the option for me to do something else with that Rhino that turn, right? Because I'm not falling back with it. There's definitely some kind of way that Rhino could run forward, shoot that Neurolictor, tank shock, finish it off or something like that while the Exalted go back and kill the Gants. But
totally.
I mean, I think if I'm throwing Exalted into Gants, it's kind of a win for you, maybe. I don't know. This is the super fun part about these pressure games is like all the what ifs and could have beens and stuff like that is there's so many different branching pathways to consider instead of just the stupid gun line staring contests. So yeah, I think overall it was probably the right call to charge just to take away options from me.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And you can see over here we're considering the possibilities here, realizing this is a really stupid play. And we're going to rewind a little bit and we have the Hive Tyrant stay here in combat, accept that death is a possibility, but hopefully do some damage beforehand. And then with that in mind, we're going to have with her not on here, the Exalted will just drop into the nice stage agent ground over here to make sure that the Hive Tyrant goes away when crises happen. Mama here, my Tervigon is definitely going to be running into the middle here. We're going to try to... what do we decide here? Oh, I love this play. Okay. Part of the reason to leave the Tyrant here is because it means that the Zerkers are in combat. And if the Zerkers are in combat, then they won't get to heroically intervene. They will have to just pile in or consolidate, which, if he activates with the red squad first, means that he might lose Kharn's squad to the Tyrant first, because there's no way that red squad, the 3 dudes there, are killing him. So what we're going to do is we're going to then charge just the Slaughterbound with both the Tervigon and the Gaunts, who will run through and around him here, who will then get bodies on the objective to hopefully take that away from you. Which would be nice. It'll actually hold you to a 5, very funny 5, where you hold your expansion with that stupid Slaughterbound.
Dude, he's such a hero.
I just can't figure out a way to get damage on him, right? Like, I would love to just have my Neurotyrant and whatnot try to pick him up, but we need all hands on deck up here. Our shooting doesn't actually kill quite as many Zerks as I was expecting. We make some pretty good saves against my Maleceptor there. Which, I mean, I'm AP2 and you have cover on a bunch of guys, so it's never going to be great. But we need all the damage we can get, so that includes the Neurotyrant. So we're then charging in the Venomthropes in a charge, which is cool. Deathy's in there, Mally's in there. This Neurolictor advanced up to here, so she will not be eligible to charge, but that's fine. And yeah, we're gonna see what we can do here. Sure enough, the Tervigon does strike first and slams down that Slaughterbound, which prevents me from being in big trouble there. You then activate with, or no, and then I'm gonna. You're not interrupting because you have no reason to interrupt. Or maybe you don't have the CP for it. No, I think you did. Why not interrupt here?
With what, Red Squad?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter that much.
Oh, because if I want to,
the guys fighting
touch
into the Tyrant
yeah.
are 3 chain blades, and if you're gonna consolidate, and I'm gonna get to consolidate the Blue Squad anyway, I don't really care about Blue Squad killing 1 Space Marine.
It's more about Blue Squad taking the objective, but if Blue Squad wants to take the objective, it has to tank the hits anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. Yeah. No, you're good. Cool. So we swing up top a whole bunch, kill a good handful there. I think there are what looks like 4 Zerkers left, and the Juggerlord. This is that singular Jackal who is still alive, because obviously we're not pointing guns at him when there are Berzerkers that need to die. Kharn swings, and once again, the Hive Tyrant is immortal!
I fucking hate Kharn Squad, dude. They're so useless.
The Hive Tyrant then swings back, and I think she... I think she kills all the Marines. Oh no, she swings into red.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to swing into red here. because the way that Lucas is positioned, if he pulls casualties from down here, he's going to lose some more to coherency. And I would just really love to mitigate their output. It also guarantees that she survives this turn, and next turn she's fighting before Lucas does. Obviously, there's all this charging, but it means that the Kharn squad is not doing anything. So that's pretty cool. And this time we do have exactly 5 Termagants survive of the mighty 8 of the Berzerkers. And Lucas can't pile or console because of coherency, so we do hold that with our 10 OC to his 8 ganks and shit. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Your Rhino did a whole lot of nothing by the looks of it. Oh, no. There we go. Kills 2 dudes, which seems pretty sustainable to me, but obviously the shooting is pretty scary, as will be the next set of combat. Oh, nope, never mind. He killed... Oh, wait. Yeah.
I think he killed 4?
Yeah, it kills 4 dudes. There we go. I was just debating a couple different casualty pulling strategies. I wanted to keep the guys in cover so that I could have a cover save, because you'll be AP0 with your bolters. And you swing back up top as well. Looks like you take out some of the Venoms. You do a number on Deathy, but not quite kill him. But you're going to be in combat up there. My green squad's going to be holding down that point for the rest of the game. I'm feeling pretty confident in it. Cool. Sweet. Cards-wise that turn, I had drawn tempting target and engage on all fronts. The center was my tempting, so really big that those gaunts managed to take that away from him. And obviously engage is trivial, in part thanks to my glorious Spore Mine. Thank you, Mr. Spore Mine. So that was pretty cool. Excited to see that actually paying off.
Yes, sir.
That'll be me. Clocking over to top 4, Lucas. Holding you to a 5. What are you going to do about it?
Well, it's a 5, assuming I pass my shadows check. And this is, this is why Invasion Fleet is so good at the grind, right? Like, they have all these endurance kind of attritional tools. And then once you think you finally are starting to make some headway, they make your entire army take a bunch of -1 and 2 battle shock tests. So
-3, baby.
Why?
Deathy, Synapse, Neurotyrant. These guys are all at -3.
Okay, sure. Well, those guys up there are they're not really scoring me any points anyway. They're doing a lot of damage. They're continuing to kill for Khorne. And with Fight on Death active this turn, that I just rolled for my blood dice, they're gonna maybe get to we're down to the battle axes of the Lord. Maybe they'll get to Fight on Death and take Deathleaper and the Venomthropes with them. But at this point, I don't have any hope of unseating your Maleceptor, right? Like, the thing is full health. It has access to Feel No Pain. I'm not charging it for the rest of the game, so I'm just kind of out of steam up there. And that has meant, unfortunately, that you've scored your expansion every turn of the game, and you're going second. So that means the primary is not looking great, because you have denied my home now. You've denied my expansion once. I held the middle once, and then this turn it's contested by you. So that blue in the middle, by the way, is your tempting target, which you've already scored. So we're just kind of doing what we can here. Seeing the attritional tools of Invasion Fleet in action is really cool. I'm really not launching any charges this turn. I'm just kind of staying in prolonged combat. My Exalted Eightbound will go into the Tyrant and table flip him. But, Kharn squad not doing anything. Red squad stuck in combat. They've been there since turn 2. Like, they're fighting and they're doing a lot of damage. But they don't have a ton of control over the objective because you also have so much OC. And then the other Juggernaut squad also has done quite a bit of damage, but they're just continuing to be mired in the Venomthropes and Deathleaper and the -1 to hit and, just like tons of stacking defense, continuing to take battle shocks on the Neurolictors. It's all adding up quite a bit. And for this turn, we do get some nice cards that are conducive to where we are on the battlefield with our 1 unit that can make a normal move this turn. I guess it's 2. But we get Area Denial. We auto-pass our Berzerkers for a 2-pointer. And then we get Assassinate as well. Throw those Exalted into the Tyrant. He finally decides to fail some 4-up inlands. Very nice of him. And that guy goes down. So a nice 7-pointer, honestly, and a 5-point in secondary means I score a respectable 12 on turn 4. But unfortunately, World Leader's just kind of running out of gas here. We also get another lucky break and avoid another one of the tools that Invasion Fleet has, which is that Resurrect, D3+3 on Synapse, on Endless Swarms? Or is it get better in Synapse range?
If they're in Synapse, it's on 2 units.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, so
But
you get
either way,
D3 plus
so
3 back from the Tervigon, and then 2 units get D3 plus 3. So one unit gets back 2D3 plus 6. The other gets back D3 plus 3.
so
It's
the moral of the
disgusting.
story there, right, is if I kill you down to one model, you will resurrect minimum 4 and not have to take a shock test. So I really needed to kill the whole squad there, and luckily I just about get there. But through 2 rounds of combat, 12 attacks hitting on threes with sustained, and a bunch of bolter shots, 12 bolter shots as well, admittedly hitting on fives, but there's a good chance that Rhino can put down 10 Hormagaunts. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then we use our 3-inch consolidate to just get a little further behind the wall, and we're going to use that big Juggernaut base to block the Maleceptor from moving over to shoot that Rhino. A little bit, quite proud of that play. Just a nice
Yeah,
little do-si-do to make sure that you're not going to sneak that objective away from me in the last turn here.
very
So
nice.
yeah, and then our Slaughterbound continuing to cower. World Leader players, unattach your Slaughterbounds. Unattach your Slaughterbounds. Your
Yep.
army has so much brick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it hits so hard, and there's like 5 units in the whole fucking army. You can unattach him. It's okay. He's a 85 point. Like, compare this guy to what else is 85 points in World League? It's like, yeah, 2 Spawn is the perfect comparison. He's cheaper than 2 Spawn, and he like is doing such a good job there at holding that objective, and like he takes so much effort to remove, and he's fast. Yeah, it's just great. Unless your opponent is playing knights, just unattach him.
Very
It'll be
nice.
okay. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, moving into what is this, bottom of 4 here.
Bottom 4, we're grabbing a 10. We're going to draw area denial behind enemy lines. Area denial a little bit tricky. Got to kill here behind enemy lines. We've got a spore mine. Let's go. And we'll give him a friend over here in just a moment to get our full 4 points just to flex. Area denial is a little tricky because I got to kill this Juggerlord, but it doesn't really matter. And it's bottom 4, so I don't really need to worry about holding my primary, just denying yours. And I'm really happy with the play that I make here. Pushing to play the end game for diff is like a thing that I've been trying to get better at. And this Maleceptor, I think the pretty obvious play was to just have him sit here and make sure this works and go get rid of that guy. And instead, we said, or helping shoot into here, increasing the odds that I take the area denial. I said both of those are complicated. Fuck it. He's OC more than a Rhino, and advance him up this way so that next turn he can go over here and make sure we take your home field away from you. So I don't need to worry about getting this objective back. Just fully lock that in the bag. And then we also send the Neurolictor in because, again, just put stuff in your opponent's DZ. This is a lesson that I've learned from you, Lucas, that you do really, really well. Just put stuff in your opponent's DZ. It scores a lot of points, it turns out. Take your opponent's home field away. You have units, put them in your opponent's deployment zone. Sweet. So at the end of this, we don't quite grab the area denial, but we get basically everything else done. Our Neurotyrant gets all the way back here, just an 18, and hoses Kharn's 3 friends. So Kharn no longer can blood surge or advance a charge. Cool. I totally forgot to move my Biovore off the objective, so he gets charged by Kharn anyway. Whoops, my bad.
Yay, Kharn's going to do something. Yay, for once in his life.
Sounds good. And yeah, we'll click it over to you for top 5.
Yeah, pretty straightforward here. We're going to go ahead and draw. I have no fucking idea. Display of might behind enemy lines. I think I might draw something else first. Trying to remember. I draw like bring it down or something like that. And then I decided to dish it. Either way, it was something unscorable, and then I recycle into display, which is also unscorable. I will get a 4 on behind here with my Juggerlord falling back and Kharn decapitating the Biovore. I don't even know if it has a head, probably. And then display is just kind of a non-starter here, unfortunately. So just wrapping up the game with a nice 4 on behind and I think it was a 10 on primary. Yeah, on behalf of that Rhino play with the Slaughterbound. So 14 points on turn 5. We'll send it over. You'll grab a 15 pretty trivially. And what do you draw?
Very nice. We are very fortunate. We draw Sabotage Assassination. Great set of cards for bottom 5. We did kill this whole squad of Exalted Eightbound on your turn, by the way. The Hive Tyrant exploded and did 2 damage to one of them. The Neurotyrant shot and killed that one and the next one. That's the end of the clip. And then they slam into the Tervigon, who then kills the last one there in combat, like the badass that she is. We also heroic in with our gaunts here, just making absolutely 100% sure that whatever we have to do next turn, it's doable. So this extra bit of movement off the heroic and then off the console after the Tervigon eats your guts works out real well for them. You did fall back for my Neurolictor here, though it wouldn't have made too much of a difference. We get the your home field over here. And the sabotage is done by the Neurolictor. Could have just as easily been done by the Maleceptor, but failure battle shock, so we're done there.
Yep.
Grab the other three, and then I think we just accepted that this guy was dead. He's only got a couple wounds left, and we're staring at him with the Tervigon and the Gaunts and the Neurotyrant here. So we were able to finish this boy off. And that's a wrap. And that is a Tyranid victory. 89-78. That's a not even 11. That's a 12-8. Whole 12-8 on your silly little boys with chain axes. And I mean, a pretty solid material advantage as well, right? At the end of the game, I've still got Neurotyrant, Tervigon, full health Maleceptor, full blob of Gaunts, 2 Neurolictors, and some score mines. And we're up against Kharn and a Slaughterbound and half a Rhino.
Yep.
Fascinating finish, man. How are you feeling about World Leaders after this? And what do you think about this matchup?
It's interesting. I definitely, we only recorded this game last night. So when I was headed to bed, I was kind of depresso that I had lost with the I shred your infantry faction up against, the blobs of infantry army. But then I thought about what this list is trying to do. It's played by, it was pioneered by Lictor, right? Who lives in the Horde meta. Australia famously absolutely cracked meta where they're just running massive tides of dudes at each other. And I think it's very plain to see once you it's not very plain to see. Once you there's some surface level strength of this army into hordes, that being the reactive moves, the battle shocks, the sustained into your whole army if you're infantry. So it has those tools, but there's also some sneaky things in there too. Like the 1-2 punch of the Hormagaunts plus the Tyrant, the stacking defensive. Once he gets you in combat, he's more likely to get his revives off, and you're less likely to kill him. There are several armies, World Leaders included, that are kind of contingent on charging for damage buffs. And so I think Invasion Fleet in those matchups, those Horde on Horde matchups, is totally fine to just kind of throw itself in there. Deathleaper kills a few guys, the Tervigon kills a few guys, the Hive Tyrant kills a few guys. And then they hit a bunch of your squads back decently hard. And then the following turn, you're just falling back and resurrecting, or you're staying in combat and shooting your pistols. This game's a great example of my red squad of Berzerkers charging on turn. They killed so many of your guys, but they didn't really translate it into that many points. And I think that is the greatest strength of this Invasion Fleet list, and probably one of the pitfalls of World Leaders in turn is its ability to actually score points. It needs to deal a death blow to the opponent. It needs to get in there, kill something important, get into the next rank, but not only that, but be able to free itself up in the following turn to launch another charge, or be happy enough existing on the objective. I wasn't able to launch another charge, and I wasn't able to control the objective because of your battle shocks and your own high OC. So it's that red squad, for example, right? Of Berzerkers, they came in, they killed 20 Hormagaunts. They killed 20 Termagants. You charged them, they took some losses, they killed 20 Hormagaunts. The following turn, they piled into blue squad, killed those guys too. So at this point, I haven't even lost the squad, and I've killed 60 models. And they did some chip damage to the Hive Tyrant as well. But ultimately, they scored me 5 on primary and 2 on area denial. So that's not a great return on investment for that massive brick. So I think the key with these 20-man blobs of Berzerkers and World Leaders is getting them into the right position. And here it was a little bit tricky to get them in a spot where they were going to be controlling an objective while also A, not allowing you onto it, and B, trying to play around your battle shocks and stuff like that. So a little bit of an interesting balancing act. And it's not as straightforward as I'm just charging into your opponent and slaughtering them, because ultimately the army is 50 tactical Marines, and I think every army in Warhammer right now can kill 50 tactical Marines very quickly. Your defense is Blood Surge, and that's about it. So yeah, overall I do like the list. I think there's some interesting swaps you could make. one of the things that my roommate Ian and I, who've been working on this list a lot, are considering right now is you can swap an Exalted for a squad of 8-bound. That way you just maintain your one significant rapid ingress threat. And then you have an onboard scouting piece. That's another trade unit because it has a lot of attacks at AP2 damage 2, strength 10. And then they've also very importantly hand out a +1 to hit aura. I think this is going to be more units like the Maleceptors are going to start showing up as counters to World Eaters because they're just like Crusaders as well for Black Templars, which is something that we saw a lot at Challengers Cup. It's just a big swarm of dudes that hit on 3s. A -1 to hit is a huge proportion of that damage just removed. And if you can introduce your own +1 to hit back into the equation, then all of a sudden your Berzerkers are back to their hitting on their base value, and you can kind of trade up into those situations where your opponent tries to apply some defense. And those points saved let you buy Battle Lust as well for an enhancement, just gives you a nice charge reroll. So that's one swap. Another thing you can do is try to get the Forge Fiends in there. They're a nice tool in these kind of like horde on horde matchups because while they're dealing with the Berzerkers, they probably won't have time to deal with 2 Forge Fiends shelling them. So that's another tool you could have. It definitely does subtract from like the overwhelming aggro of the army. I think it's probably not the right move in teams, but I could definitely see singles lists taking some Forge Fiends, even at their increased price point. I think they're still excellent. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on right now in World Eaters. So I think the Slaughterbounds in particular are something that everyone should be considering, and also no one should be considering attaching them unless you're in a game like this or against Knights, where you just need to kill the one massive bug. But yeah, pretty cool stuff overall. How about you? How are you feeling about them bugs?
Bro, this game was so much fun. It is so good to be back on my carpet, man. As much fun as AdMech is and as pretty busted as they are, the things that make AdMech exciting to me are not the things that are good about AdMech right now, right? They are turning into like a damage factory melee rush army, which is just like not really how I like to play Warhammer. I also don't own that army in the flesh quite as much yet. I want to hobby it real slow. Whereas this army, other than a couple of Hormagaunts, I already own painted. Like I've played carpets enough before. I have all the gaunts with spine fists painted, all the new models because I'm an idiot with a brain disorder, I think. But it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm gonna play this for a little while. We'll see what it's like in person on the clock and whatnot. But I mean, we managed to play this game. The 2 clips total like 3 hours 30, and that's on TTS. Yeah. So I think it's not actually as crazy as some of the other ones because there isn't all the blood surging and because there's damage in a couple of other places. Like I'm excited to see what it's like. But I'm having a ton of fun with it, and I look forward to seeing what it can do into some other armies. I think that fundamentally, the checklist of things that I want to fight against are infantry, cannot fly, and don't have a ton of guns. Like those 3 things are a really nice combo, which is why this ends up working out really well, even though the things I don't want to fight against are Pile Console 6, weight of attacks, and Blood Surge. Those are all disastrous, but we make it work. Real interesting dynamic. So I'm excited to play this some more in the future. I think I'm going to catch some other World Eater players pretty hard off guard if they run into this and don't really know what they're doing, don't know what the math is. I was just thinking about, for example, like I think it's probably the right move a lot of times to just accept the Blood Surge on the gaunts as long as the Maleceptor is positioned correctly, because you will not kill them, right? If I shoot the Maleceptor first, kill 5 Berzerkers or something, and then you surge in, and then the gaunts shoot and kill maybe another 2 Zerkers, right? 13, no way in hell they're killing the squad without the charge buffs, like with the Feel No Pain, just never happening.
Yeah. I'm winning and World Eaters are one of the highest attack volume armies in the game, right? Like a lot of these factions, they'll win the grind against you, but it'll take them 3 turns and they won't score their points while they're doing it.
Exactly. And when like World Eaters having so few units, it's funny. I think of them as like the hardest army to control because the 6-inch pile console with the big squads means they just get absolutely everywhere. I think about that Host of Ascension World Eaters game that we played at your place a couple weeks ago in prep for Challengers, and like, man, like I was doing everything I could. I just could not control that horde. But actually, with this army, it's quite doable because the way that they're controllable is to charge them.
Yep. Yeah. No, 100%. This is what you should do against World Eaters. Like so much of their damage. Charging gives them +1 AP access, +2 strength, +1 attack. and
Mm-hmm.
they don't take the casualties of you actually hitting them in combat. Like they don't fall back in charge. Like go
Yep.
charge. If you're scared of world eaters, let them land on something fairly inconsequential. Make sure they don't tag you in a backbreaking way, and then go charge them. Like they don't reactive
Yep.
move. They don't have defense. Like just
Mm-hmm.
go and engage them in combat, and you'll either win the grind or they won't score any points while you lose the grind.
Yep. Absolutely. Like especially, oh man, if I position that perfectly such that you then also end up within 6 of Deathy, so that you're then taking battle shocks at -1 on your turn for being under starting. Ooh, saucy.
Yeah, sexy.
Anyway, so I'm very excited. You'll definitely see some more of this. Probably not a ton more of this in Sarah, unless people really want it. Again, drop in the comments if you want to see a particular faction represented. We're trying to bounce around to a lot of other things, so maybe we won't do the Hornids again. But you'll be hearing more about this on Table Covers. That's for damn sure. A lot of fun. Had a real great time. But yeah, anything else on this matchup, Lucas?
No, sir. It was a blast, and Khorne was certainly pleased with the result of this game.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us once again. If you want to keep the conversation going, we'll be down in the YouTube comments. You can hit us up on our Discord over at Patreon. And if you would like some more one-on-one attention to play one of these armies or anything else, really, head over to stat-check.com/coaching, not slash Patreon, and inquire if you're interested in getting some one-on-one help. But yeah, with that all being said and done, thank you so much for joining us. I've been Tyler.
And I've been Lucas.
And we'll catch you next time. Take care, everyone.
See you, gamers.